You think you're in love, and that feeling feels completely real. But if a neuroscientist scanned your brain right now, they wouldn't say you're in love. They'd say something else entirely. They'd say you're on drugs, not as a metaphor, literally. The same brain regions firing, the same chemical systems activated, the same patterns found in people who are clinically addicted to substances, the same brain regions, the same chemical flood, the same physical withdrawal when that person disappears. Your brain at its deepest level simply cannot tell the difference between love and addiction. This isn't a theory. This has been measured, scanned, and documented in real human brains. Today, I'll show you exactly what's happening inside your head when you think about someone. You know this feeling. Someone enters your life and suddenly they're everywhere in your mind. You check your phone constantly, not because you need something, just hoping their name appears. You replay conversations from days ago, searching for hidden meaning. You catch yourself smiling at nothing in public. People around you notice. You don't care. You genuinely cannot stop yourself. You lose sleep. You lose appetite. You lose focus on everything else. Because some ancient part of your brain decided this one person is the most important thing in existence. Everyone says that's just love. That's normal. That's beautiful. But nobody explains the mechanism underneath. Once you understand what's actually happening inside your brain, you'll never see love the same way. Let's start with one molecule, dopamine. Most people think it's the pleasure chemical, the reward released when something good happens. But that's not quite right, and this distinction matters enormously. Dopamine is not the chemical of pleasure, it's the chemical of anticipation, of wanting, of craving. It doesn't spike when you get what you want, it spikes when you think you might. This is the engine behind every addiction ever studied. Cocaine hijacks your dopamine system and makes your brain scream. More, get more. Slot machines run on this exact same principle. The unpredictable reward keeps dopamine elevated in a way guaranteed rewards never could. Maybe they text back, maybe they don't. Your dopamine system is on fire either way. That is not coincidence. Brain imaging studies by Helen Fisher at Rutgers showed something that changed science forever. The brain's core reward center activates identically in new lovers and cocaine addicts. Same region, same intensity, identical. But dopamine is only the beginning. When you're in love, your brain floods with norepinephrine, the same chemical that surges during a life-threatening emergency. Your brain is treating this person like a crisis. That's why your heart races when you see them, why your palms sweat, why you can't think straight. Your brain has flagged this person as critically, urgently, survival level important. Then there's serotonin, or rather, the lack of it. Studies found serotonin levels in people freshly in love were as low as levels measured in patients diagnosed with obsessive-compulsive disorder. Those intrusive thoughts that won't stop. The mental loops at 2 in the morning. The inability to think about anything else. That is not romance. That is a clinically measurable disruption. Researchers took people still desperately in love with someone who rejected them and placed them inside a brain scanner. Then they showed them one thing, a photograph of their ex. The brain regions that lit up were identical to cocaine addicts shown images of their drug. But more revealing, areas associated with physical pain, deep craving, and emotional suppression all activated simultaneously. These people weren't simply sad. Their brains were in active withdrawal, cold turkey, from another human being, the brain demanding a chemical it had grown completely dependent on and breaking down without it. We call that behavior obsessive, pathetic, unstable. We say just move on. But neurologically, it is withdrawal. Pure, clinical, measurable withdrawal from a chemical dependency on another person. Here's where it gets truly unsettling. If love and addiction share the same neurological architecture, then everything we believe about freely choosing who we love becomes far more complicated. The brain structures activated during love are among the oldest, most primitive parts of the human brain. They evolved millions of years before the part responsible for logic and rational thinking. When you fall in love, the primitive brain takes full command, and it does something else, something that should disturb you. It systematically suppresses the circuits responsible for judgment and critical thinking. In plain terms, Love makes you temporarily unable to judge the person you love clearly. Your brain deliberately turns off its own warning systems. Not by accident. This was built in intentionally, because if you saw your partner's flaws with perfect clarity from day one, you might never bond deeply enough. The system traps you first, lets you see clearly later. You were blinded by design. Understanding this doesn't kill the magic, it deepens it. Now you know when someone falls apart after a breakup, it isn't weakness, it isn't drama, it is withdrawal, plain and simple. And when you couldn't see the red flags until it was too late, that wasn't stupidity. That was a neurological suppression system doing precisely what evolution built it to do. You cannot override your dopamine system with willpower, but awareness creates something willpower never can: a gap between the impulse and the action, between the craving and the surrender. That gap is everything. Love is real, the feeling is real, but the machinery is ancient, blind, and indifferent to your happiness. That crucial, difficult, beautiful part of choosing wisely, that part is still entirely yours.